Okay, so let's go into it. So here we go. So let's first start with understanding exactly what we're talking about here, okay? We're talking about the clip-off, okay? Once again, I know a lot of you that are listening to this already understand what the clip-off is. If you don't understand what the clip-off is, go ahead and just continue listening to the videos that are on my YouTube channel, because I've made plenty of content covering what the clip-off is. And you'll find videos on my channel, on my public channel, that will give you a lot of information that you need. Now, obviously, if you want to take it to an even deeper level, you might want to consider joining the Patreon, because I also break it down there in very much depth as well, more depth than my public channel. But long story short, the clip-off is the underworld, okay? It's the areas of our multiverse that are primarily built from dark energy and directly reflect our subconscious mind, and as well as the unconscious mind, okay? The clip-off is translated in Hebrew to mean shells or husks primarily, and it is once again referred to as the underworld, okay? So the clip-off would be known as hell, okay, from a more so traditional perspective. Now, what I'm saying in regards to its reality is that the clip-off, outside of its religious connotation of being the underworld and hell, it is truly just reflecting the deep unconscious and subconscious of your personal mind, and also that of the mass collective, and even of the universe, okay? So it is a part of the multiverse that we all live within. It's a part of evolution itself. There's nothing wrong, and there's nothing evil about it, and there's nothing evil with it. Really, it is just a part of the multiverse that has been demonized to be evil and demonized to be the underworld and hell from that evil lens. And this ties directly into the final clip-othic sphere. Okay, so in regards to traditional Kabbalah, you have the 10 spheres going up. You have Malkuth, Yesod, Hod, Netzach, Tiferet, Yavura, Chesed. Then you have the High Priestess archetype, Binah, Chokmah, and Kether at the top. Okay, now within the clip-othic realm, you have Nama. It's the same structured tree, just different names, and it has different associations with different locations of the multiverse that makes up our planet today, the primary multiverse that we all exist within as the human species. Okay, so we have Nama, then we have Gamaliel, then we have Samael, then we have Arab Zirak, then we have Thagirion, then we have Golachab, then we have Gog Shablah, then we have the Gargophius path that crosses down across the abyss. Then you have Setheriel, Gagil, and then the final sphere is called Thamael. Okay? So this would be the deepest layer, one of the deepest layers of the unconscious and subconscious mind of you listening to this right now, and of the mass collective in general, and one of the darkest areas of our own multiverse that we live in today. Now, in order to be able to maneuver through the multiverse and get to your highest potential, or step into your, we could call it deepest level of power, you have to travel through the multiverse in its totality. So that would require you to enter into the clip-off and travel down to the final clip-othic sphere, which is Thamael, and then embrace that area of your unconscious, subconscious, as well as that location within our multiverse, to understand what it is simultaneously as you're going through introspection, okay, within yourself. So long story short, as I was saying, we have Thamael at the very bottom. This is a very dense and a very dark energy location, not only just within yourself, within your internal state, as I mentioned, the deep unconscious and subconscious, but also in the multiverse we live in today, like in the world around you. You're going to notice hidden things, you're going to notice, as I said, the deep unconscious and subconscious of the multiverse and how that final sphere of Thamael becomes manifest in the world around you as well as within yourself. Okay? So Thamael becomes a very important sphere. I mean, it is the lowest sphere on the entirety of the clip-off. Okay? This is a high-level initiation if you can make it to this sphere from an initiatory perspective. Okay? Most people have never done that. Most people never get the chance to do that because most people that enter into the clip-off from an initiatory perspective do not successfully make it through the entirety of the initiations. Most people end up dropping off. Most people end up giving into drug addictions. Most people end up giving into psychosis. There's a myriad of reasons as to why people do not successfully complete clipothic initiation in its totality. And it's a part of evolution. It really is. It's a part of the evolutionary structure to test the individual to make sure that they are matured, disciplined, and able to even be able to have power once they've completed that level of initiation, if you've been able to complete the clipothic tree. Okay, so it's a similar concept to, with great power comes great responsibility. Well, that responsibility has everything to do with your own maturity and your own ability to understand cosmic law and the natural processes of evolution. So if you can't adapt those processes and those understandings within yourself going into clipothic initiation, you're not going to make it through. You will get destroyed by evolution itself. Okay? And that's what happens to most people. So when we're talking about this sphere of Thamael, I want you to understand that most people have never been able to travel with their spirit to this area of the multiverse to actually observe it for what it is and then recognize it within themselves as well. There are for sure people that have done it. It has taken place. It does take place. But the majority of the population, 99%, have not experienced this state. Okay, have not gone this deep into their own unconscious and subconscious mind. Okay, so Thamael represents two primary entities. Okay, Thamael is associated with Satan and associated with Moloch. Okay, these are very important to understand. Okay, and I'll cover that in a second. But Thamael is Satan and Moloch, and then the sphere of Thamael represents the dual serpent or the twin dragon, so to speak. The sphere of Thamael represents the twin serpents. Okay? Now, let's take a look at Satan and Moloch. Okay? First of all, when it comes to some of the most primary structures that are built in our society today that are meant to harness awareness and harness power, two of these primary structures are going to be built, the roots of most of these primary structures in our today's time, in the world around us, are rooted in the entity Satan and also rooted in the entity Moloch. Okay? So what exactly does this mean? I know this can be a little bit confusing to understand. Satan represents the adversary. Okay, this is easy to see within Judaic religion. Okay, Satan's always testing people and, challenging people. Obviously, he's demonized, but from a more so practical perspective, Satan, as an energetic entity that does exist, is an adversary, which represents Saturnian qualities. Okay, Saturnian qualities, Satan, Saturn, which essentially is discipline, order, structure. You will be tested by the entity of Satan to maintain discipline, order, structure. Saturn's also associated with death, okay? You will be influenced by death to then understand what death is and how to use death energy to further evolve, okay? This is what Satan also will do for you and do to you so that you can understand how to properly evolve and get to your deepest potential. you can't, in order to get to your deepest potential and your highest potential, you have to come face to face with Satan. You have to be challenged by Satan. Okay, this is a part of the process. It's not that Satan's evil. It's not that Satan's wrong. It's not that Satan's some weird archon. Satan is an energy, an evolutionary energy that was birthed from the source of chaos, where all of our souls were birthed from, that is meant to challenge certain individuals within the multiverse that claim they want to really step into their highest potential or want to step into the true awareness of their primal nature. So Satan, as I said, is the adversary. He's a challenger. Okay, what else is associated with Saturn? Fear, anxiety, as well as crystallization. So through going through your fears, through going through experiences that bring out anxiety, that oftentimes would turn people off from even going through that type of experience, when you embrace those experiences and you realize you were able to learn from it and you were able to develop yourself on that other side of fear because you faced it, you embraced it, and then you could move into it and realize that same thing you feared actually can turn into your own power. This is the value that you get from Satan once you start to understand the true nature, the true evolutionary nature of Satan itself. Okay? So Satan is that Saturnian adversary that needs to test the initiate until the point where the initiate becomes the Satan themselves. Okay, you go through so many tests, so to speak, you absorb them and you become the energetic influence of Satan. Now, this final test really takes place in Thamiel. So, as I said, we have that one entity as Satan. Then we have Moloch existing within the same sphere of Thamiel, the same exact sphere, yet representing a very opposite polarity in regards to the difference between the sun and Satan. So Satan's associated with Saturn, and Moloch is associated with the sun. Okay, so the sun and Saturn, for those of you that are aware of astrology, are two completely different energies. Okay, so we see this major polarity taking place within the sphere of Thamiel. This is what is extremely key to understand. The sphere of Thamiel, which is known as the twin serpent or the dual serpent, has an extreme polarity that is built within this sphere. It's being represented as Moloch in contrast to Satan. Okay, now Moloch is going to give off very similar energetic correspondences as a solar figure that is warrior-like in nature. Okay, so Moloch is going to be a warrior-like energy that is basically ready, willing, and able to go to war for what you deem is right for you. Okay, so there's a huge warlike influence and a willingness and a readiness to go to war for what you feel like you need to go to war. You need to go to war for whatever reason that is for you. Okay, and it represents awareness. So the energy of Moloch would be definitely associated with the sun in correspondence to you feeling like, oh, you're just for your reason to want to go to war. Okay, you understand, you see behind the corner, you get what's going on, so therefore you want to go to war because you see what is taking place in the circumstance and you feel like it's worth going to war for. Meaning you have the awareness. That's really what the sun represents in astrology. It represents conscious awareness. So you're aware of things that could potentially be out of order or could potentially be deemed by you as wrong. So now you want to go to war. That would be the energy of Moloch. Okay, now there's obviously a lot more that's impacted within that energy, but this is what I'm really going to focus on for now so that we can understand the nature of Thamiel and how it affects the world around us, all of us. Okay, so we see this huge duality, the sun and Saturn, Moloch and Satan existing within the same sphere. Okay, Thamiel, the lowest sphere within the clip-off. Okay, so when we look at some primary symbols that appear in our today's time, I'm sure you have seen one of the symbols show up where you have the symbol of the double-headed eagle. Okay, I will try to post a picture if I can remember when I go through the editing of this video. But if for some reason I don't post the picture, you can search it up yourself. Look up the double-headed eagle. Okay, just type it in on your Google Images or your Safari Images, double-headed eagle, and you're going to see a symbol that pops up that is going to be a very common symbol that I know you've seen before. And this is actually a governmental symbol that has been around for hundreds of years and is one of the most primary symbols that exists within our today's time. And once again, when you see the symbol, you'll recognize it. Okay. Now, this double-headed eagle, being literally a representation of the United States itself, this is also what this symbol represents. From its more so occult influence behind this symbol, what this symbol means is Thamael. And we can see the connection there between the word Thamael equaling the double-headed serpent or the twin-headed serpent. And then we look at this double-headed eagle. And for those of you that don't know, the eagle is essentially, from a more so mystical perspective, the offspring of the dragon. Okay, so the eagle in our today's time is a bird, but, if we went back farther, during the Draconian ages, the Draconian days when there was dinosaurs that existed, at some point in time on our planet, there was beings that were reptilian that could fly, and they have a strong association with the birds in our today's time. The birds are basically one of their closest ancestor-ships. Okay, so the eagle can be looked at as a symbol for the dragon. So when we have the double-headed, twin-headed eagle that appears in the primary symbol as one of the primary symbols for America, this is representing that America, and trust me, the people that created this symbolism and the people that have their influence within these symbols, they know these concepts that I'm talking about. The entire Qliphoth was built to be a construct to control the world. Okay, and it's not only built to be a construct that controls the world, but for those of you that have awareness of the Qliphoth, you're going to understand how the world functions, because it's actually based on its most primal evolutionary structure. Okay, so with that double-headed, twin-headed eagle, that's literally representing Thamael. So we have one of America's most primary symbols being shown as the twin-headed eagle, which is showing that America is literally run off of the sphere, or we could even say controlled by the sphere of Thamael, and for the people who understand that sphere, for the people who use the sphere of Thamael, use Moloch, use Satan, these types of energies, to control the world by programming the state of duality in the world today and promoting it so that people can feel a sense of choice and a sense of identity within, whether it's the solar figure, the Moloch in this case, or the Saturnian figure, the Satan. Okay, so let me try to explain a little bit about what I'm talking about here. So Thamael represents ultimate duality. Now, I'm also speaking as someone who's initiated in this sphere of Thamael myself. Okay, when I was in this sphere of initiation, what I noticed around me in my environment was massive duality. Matter of fact, this is actually around the time when there was even the voting taking place between Donald Trump and Biden. Okay, and at that time, this is literally, it just happened to align perfectly where I was going through my initiations through Thamael. And literally the way that I saw it was Donald Trump was the symbol of the Moloch, the solar warfare-like figure, okay, that understands things and sees things that are probably going on that are a little bit corrupt and ready, willing, and able to go to war to correct those things. And then you have the other figure, which was the Satan, which is the Biden, who, is more so of an adversary, challenging, certain people and certain beliefs and testing, just sort of testing people. And, it's very interesting to see the correspondence between the Democratic Party being associated with certain levels of Satanism. And then you have the Republican Party, which is associated with, following Jesus Christ, which is the sun energy, the Son of God. Okay. They're like Christians and stuff like that. So you can even see the astrological correspondences between the two parties, the left and the right. Okay. And this is what I was able to notice within the sphere of Thamael. And I'm not, by no means am I telling you, you need to, be a Republican or you need to be a Democrat. This has nothing to do with that. This is actually the contrary. What I'm saying is that the world we live in today is being controlled by duality. It's being controlled by left or right, not just politically, but energetically, and even to a science degree. Okay. Even on a polarity basis in regards to your personal evolution. Okay, so what I'm saying is that Thamael is the key to controlling reality, and that is literally what has its footprint in the multiverse that we live in today. And here's the really powerful takeaway that you can get from this video. It's not evil. It's not wrong. Okay, it's a process of evolution. Okay, Thamael is an aspect of our multiverse. This is what exists. It's within our deep unconscious and our subconscious mind, which represents, in order to move through Thamael, in order to get past and initiate through Thamael, you have to see the left and the right. You have to see the positive and the negative. You have to see the masculine and the feminine and understand what it is behind both of them. Okay? You have to understand this natural process of evolution and not attach or identify with either the left or the right, or the up or the down, or the positive or the negative. Okay, the light or the dark. Okay, you have to maintain an awareness of the world and how it's structured in regards to people receive their purpose by identifying with their egotistical beliefs in regards to choosing a side, okay? And this gives people either, this always gives people a sense of feeling like they're right. It always gives people a sense of feeling like they're justified and they're doing the right thing, which makes them feel good and makes them feel like they have a sense of purpose. But in reality, that's not your purpose. That is not purpose, okay? That's your ego. And you're confusing your true soul's primal nature with your ego, with your sense of self-importance, okay? And this is a formula to waste your life. This is a formula to keep you in a state where you are shelled within the clip-off. And the people that understand the clip-off, the people that understand Thamael, they understand, I understand, I will never identify with the left or the right, the up or the down, the masculine or the feminine. Okay, it's a perfect balance at all times. It's a one state. Okay, this is the ultimate key. It is a one state, and this is how you initiate through the sphere of Thamael. Okay, this is how you understand it, and the point is that the reason why Thamael controls the world is because everyone lives in the real world today identifying with something. And because they identify with something, they claim the other thing is wrong. Okay? I'm not saying it's wrong to identify with things. I'm not saying it's wrong to attach to things. You can do that. You can, obviously, it's a part of life. You have to do it to exist. You have to identify with certain things. You have to attach to other things to be able to get the value from those things. But then you also have to be aware, if you want the value, you have to be aware that energy changes. So even when you identify with something, even when you attach to something to get the value from it and to understand it, you then have to be aware that that thing will go. It will transition on, and you will continue evolving on your evolutionary journey. But look, this is why Thamael controls the world we live in, which is the twin serpent, which is the Moloch and the Satan, which is the left and the right, the double-headed eagle that is one of the main symbols of the United States itself, is because if the people like myself that are aware of Thamael and control Thamael, because of our awareness of this area of the multiverse, as well as our deep unconscious and subconscious mind, which represents this area of the multiverse known as Thamael, and not just the multiverse, but also within the universe itself, we can learn how to set up structures that allow the human species to identify with something and give them that false purpose, give them that false sense that they're justified because they're in the right and what they believe is the right thing to believe. Okay? And when you control Thamael like that, you control the evolutionary process of the human species, because the true evolutionary process is moving beyond a good and a bad. It's moving beyond an evil and a just. It is beyond that. There truly is no such thing as evil, okay? And there is no such thing as good. All there is evolution, okay? The more you understand evolution, the more value you get from the evolutionary process. I promise you. The idea of good and bad is coming from moralistic programs. Now, sometimes things that are based in moralistic programs can be in alignment with your evolution, but oftentimes they go against it. So when it comes to the awareness of the lowest sphere within the Klipothic realm, which is Thamael, obviously you can use the energies of Satan, and you can use the opposite polarity energies of Moloch to create hidden structures, hidden energetic structures in the world we live in today, to cause people to identify with either that solar energy or that Saturnian energy. Okay? You can cause people to choose a side of, this is what I'm going to choose because this is what I believe is right and this is what's good. And this is what I'm going to hate, and this is what I'm going to say is wrong, and this is what I'm going to repress, okay? Once again, the people that understand Thamael, we understand the left, and we understand the right. We understand the light, and we understand the dark, and we embrace it all for the evolutionary power. We never lock on to anything, and we recognize our purpose lies in our evolutionary progress, getting back to the primal nature of our soul, which is the one state of being. It is source. Okay? There's not a coincidence as to why the source and the soul are so close in spelling. Okay? The source is all of it. Okay? And the source created all of this, everything you can imagine, to create evolutionary processes. Okay? Do you think the source has the ability to create something evil? Okay? It doesn't. Okay? We as the human beings can use our mindsets to create ideas and then give them labels as evil, which then we believe are evil. But in reality, to its deepest roots, everything is based on evolution. And there are cosmic laws that are in place in regards to evolution. There is cause and effect. Okay? So there is a balancing that takes place in regards to the universe. And now, is the balancing, if you do something bad, then something bad's going to happen to you? Well, what do you consider bad? Okay, like what if, if you think bad is going to be, you say a curse word around a kid, is that bad? Are you going to get punished for that? No, not necessarily, That's not how this evolutionary process functions. Everything's based on evolution. If you're doing something that's potentially preventing someone else from evolving and you're not evolving yourself properly, that's when you can get the law of cause and effect. Because at that point, you're a being that's preventing other people from evolving and you're not even evolving. So now you're just a being that exists that has no evolutionary role, and the source produced you as a physical human being to play some form of evolutionary purpose. And if you're not doing that, then the universe itself corrects you. And the way it corrects you is through the source of evolutionary chaos, which was the first created entity, which is space itself, which is dark energy itself, that is really the creation of our souls and the destruction of, multiverses as well. Okay, the creative destruction, the creative force that created everything, and the destructive force that destroys everything, which is what I call the source of evolutionary chaos, synonymous for the Tiamat or the black dragon. Okay, I believe that was the first entity that was branched off or created from the source itself, which is not an entity. Okay, so behind Thamael lies the Tiamat. Behind the Thamael is the 13th veil. Okay, in Kabbalah, you have the final sphere and then the 3 veils. If you count the spheres minus Dath, you have 10 spheres and then the 3 veils, which is the 13. So this would be the 13th veil, symbolizing the black dragon. And on that 13th veil, it's the Ain, which represents the void. Okay, so what I'm saying is that behind duality, behind Thamael, which controls the world we live in today, because once again, Thamael controls the evolution of the human species if they don't understand Thamael, if they don't understand the Satan within themselves and the Moloch within themselves. Okay? Rather, they're influenced by the Satan and they're influenced by the Moloch unconsciously and subconsciously, and they're consciously acting off of their emotions and the beliefs that are coming to their mindset that they're structuring for themselves, and they're in a state of reaction. Okay, so they're unaware of the Moloch in themselves, they're unaware of the Satan within themselves, and they haven't processed those energies. Therefore, Thamael controls the mass collective. Okay, and how many people do you know fear Satan? How many people do you know think Satan is like the ultimate entity that's controlling the world because all the elites worship Satan? And the same thing with Moloch. The same thing with Moloch. How many, look at what I'm saying, listen to what I'm saying, and actually try to observe this in the real world today. And this information that I'm sharing with you is not information I promise you're going to hear anywhere else. Okay, there are very few people that are able to understand these concepts that I'm talking about and that are sharing them publicly. Okay, 100%. Okay, but really look at what I'm talking about. How many people, they say that the whole Bohemian Grove is worship of Moloch. Okay, they said Jeffrey Epstein had a Moloch statue. Okay, and then they say all these other people, Hillary Clinton worships Satan. They sacrifice children to Satan and all this other stuff. And the point that I'm trying to create is that the sphere of Thamael really does rule the world. Okay, it really is the main controller of how the mass collective functions. And you can see it reflected in the unconscious and subconscious beliefs of a lot of people in the mass collective that have that awareness of something going on in regards to the importance of the occult and its influence on society. And I'm not saying that, these types of things aren't true. Obviously, Epstein did have a statue in his, on his island. Bohemian Grove is doing rituals. Okay. They say Hillary Clinton and all these other, certain other politicians are involved in really, we could say, grotesque satanic practices. I'm not saying I don't believe that. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. There's a property to that, and that stuff does take place. Look at the energy of Saturn. Saturn ate his children. Okay, he ate his children. So you literally can see the same influence taking place in the real world. Today. Okay, if you really pay attention, and it's the control of Thamael. It's the control of these two primal but dual energies. Satan is a primal energy. Okay, the energy of Satan is connected to the Samael. It's connected to the Shaitan. It's connected to areas within the universe that have their astrological correspondence. It is a primal energy. Okay, and it's, as I mentioned, that adversarial primal energy. And then you have the Moloch, which is the really primal solar energy. Okay, and this affects all of the human species on that deep unconscious and subconscious level. And if you don't understand that within yourself, if you're not actively trying to understand that, or even have the knowledge to be able to understand that, and when I say that I'm referring to occult practices, if you don't embrace that, if you don't think that's real, then you're going to be affected by it unconsciously and subconsciously. You're going to be controlled by duality. Okay, and this is the big secret of professional occultists like myself. I know this, and I'm not here to change the game. I'm telling you, this is what's happening. This is what takes place. This is evolution. There is nothing evil about it. Okay, it's your responsibility to come to the awareness that I'm sharing right now. Okay, it's your responsibility as a human that has a soul that is linked to the source to step into this awareness by going through the process, not identifying with good and evil, right and wrong, and duality. Okay, that's your mistake. That's your ego trapping you. Okay, and I'm telling you, this is a fact. So as I was saying, when you move past Thamael, then you have access to the 13th gate, which is the void. Okay, which is the void. Okay, and then the void is where you get in touch with the dark mother, the dark evolutionary source of chaos. The dark mother is space. It is the abyss. It is the void. Okay, and when you connect with the dark mother, you start to recognize from that, obviously it takes a certain level of transformation and self-development and initiation to get to this awareness, but you recognize you are the dark mother. You have the void in you. You are the void. Your soul literally was birthed from the void. Okay, that's where your soul's roots were. So not only are you the source, are you a reflection in a human body of the source, and even on an energetic level, but you're also just as much the void. You are literally just as much darkness, just as much dark energy and space as you are the source itself of all creation. Okay? And this is the big secret, because when you get in touch with the dark mother, after you've been able to move through Thamael, the twin-headed serpent, you realize the ultimate serpent, the ultimate dragon, is the dark mother. It is the void. It's the evolutionary source of chaos, which was the first entity that branched off of source, which was created by source to fuel the processes of evolution. That's literally all it's about. It's all it's based on. Okay? It's the human ego and the human sense of self-importance that created all of these ideas and all of these concepts of right and wrong, good and evil, left and right. Okay? And the multiverse we live in is structured so that the human being has the opportunity to really understand their true primal nature and start to recognize these cosmic laws in the real world today, as well as within themselves. So everything in regards to the Sephiroth, the tree of life, and the Qliphoth, the tree of death, so to speak, this is all natural. This is all a part of evolution. This is the natural process you have to go through, okay, to get to your deepest potential, to literally break out of the cycle of incarnation, literally becoming a god yourself, because at that point you have communication with your soul. You have a daemon, which literally you can transfer your awareness into when you die, which then gives you the ability to exist on the astral plane after your physical death to then choose what happens next in your evolutionary experience, whatever that means for you and whatever your next evolutionary role is. But the point that I'm trying to make is that this is all evolutionary in nature. It's not evil that these structures are being used in the world around us today. We're at a point in time in evolution where we're in a cycle called the Kali Yuga. This is natural for the cycle of Kali Yuga. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a part of the process. It's just that everyone has identified and has been trapped within the sphere of Thamael, or highly influenced by the sphere of Thamael, where they have this idea that they think the world is the worst it's ever been, and that, you know, we're at a point in time where things are, you know, we may go extinct again and things are going to crash and end. And people are just unaware of their own soul, and they're unaware that they're in this natural evolutionary process that has always done what it's going to do. And even if that does lead to, for example, like a mass extinction, there is, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that, because you're just assuming that death is bad. Okay, you're assuming that life after death isn't a good thing, or you're assuming that when you physically die, that's a bad thing. Okay, whenever there was those cycles in evolution where there was mass wipeouts, these things happened for a reason, and that reason was evolutionary in nature. Okay, so why do you think that's a bad thing? Why do you think you need to be in so much control of how evolution functions? Why not get in touch with it? Why not get in alignment with it so you can really take advantage of it? Rather than saying, oh, this is what we're doing. We're going to shift the world. We're going to be the ones that take it out of the Kali Yuga. We got to do this. They're the bad guys. They're the ones preventing us from doing this. No, what I'm seeing as a professional occultist is I'm seeing positives fighting against negatives. I'm literally seeing numbers. I'm seeing positives fighting against negatives. The negatives are like, you are the wrong. You're bad. You're not doing the right thing. The positives are like, you're the bad guys. You're not doing the right thing. And in reality, I'm sitting back and I'm looking at this and I'm watching how people are wasting their energy. And that wasting of energy that they're doing is actually fueling evolution. Okay, so this is why I consider myself a Universe B vampire. I take it in. I'm not here to change the game. I'm not here to stop the process. I'm observing the process. I'm watching the process. I'm a watcher. Okay, and I'm getting the energy from it. Okay, I share this content that I share because there are going to be people that take advantage of it that are meant to come across this. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm not here to convince you. I could care less if you agree or believe what it is that I'm saying. Okay, and I know there are going to be people that watch this and don't believe it and they don't want to accept it, and that's fine. I'm not here to make you believe what I'm saying. Okay, but in regards to my evolutionary role, I have to at least give the opportunity, and this is one of those opportunities, and I know people will take it. I know there will be people that run with this knowledge and this awareness that I'm sharing. And even beyond the knowledge of what I'm talking about, there's people that energetically are getting the value from what I'm talking about, just on a literal energetic level. Just from listening to me speak, you're starting to download some of the energy that I'm basically emanating right now. Okay, and I'm aware of that. I'm very well aware of that. So long story short, the world truly is controlled by Themiel. It is controlled by dualistic thinking, okay? And this is a part of evolution. The answer is, do you want to be that person that is controlled by dualistic thinking? Okay, no matter how much you identify with something within yourself, do you want to eventually be controlled by it to the point that you would never be able to get to your deepest potential because of what you're identifying with and what you're standing for? Okay, truth be told. And that's an answer that you're going to have to, or that's a question that you're going to have to answer yourself. Okay, because I know there are people that are not meant to break out of Themiel or not meant to enter into the clip-off to start understanding their deep unconscious and subconscious. And the reason why I know this is because there's a reason why it exists in the first place. There's a reason why there's an unconscious and a subconscious. There's a reason why people don't know their true primal nature. There's a reason behind that. It's evolutionary power, okay? Suffering is power. Pain is power, okay? And I'm not here to judge, okay? I'm not here to say suffering is bad and pain is bad. I mean, if it was so bad and so evil, why does it exist in the first place? That's the question you want to ask. Why does it exist in the first place? There must be an evolutionary purpose to it, okay? Just like when you go to the gym, you don't look at breaking down muscle as it's not fun in the moment as being wrong or evil. You recognize it's a part of the process. You break down the muscle, you get sore, and then it builds. Okay, it's the same concept. We just created these weird, psychotic, mental beliefs where we think things are good and evil, right and wrong, and this is just, this is unjust, and that is only doing you a disservice if you don't know the deeper truth behind it, going through Themiel and entering into the 13th veil, which is understanding your soul resides in darkness. It resides in the void, which is that primal state of nothingness, the primal state of silence that then creates everything, okay? And you'll never be able to take advantage of your own evolutionary journey until you can at least start to embrace some of these subtle influences of what I'm talking about now. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, definitely make sure you hit the thumbs up. Okay, come down here, hit the thumbs up.